seeing visions from God. No one is a prophet today. There are no prophets, and there are certainly no apostles. There are none. There are none. And if you stick with me, I'm going to prove it. You may not like it, but I'm going to prove it. Now, in Matthew chapter 11, I'm going to read verse 12. Starting at verse 12. Matthew 11, verse 12. And this is the words of Christ. These are the words of Christ. So in verse 12, he says, "And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." Now notice verse 13. Listen to what I'm about to say. These aren't my words. This is what Christ said. Listen to this. Matthew 11, verse 13. Our Lord says, "For all of the prophets and the law prophesied until John the Baptist." All of the prophets and the law they prophesied until John the Baptist. What does that tell you? Well, just what it says. Prophets, John the Baptist was the last prophet. It says that the law and the prophets prophesied until John the Baptist. Jesus said that. So if John is the last prophet, how could it be possible for so many of you to be saying that you are prophets, or that your pastor or your minister or someone you know is a prophet? None of them are prophets, because there are no more. None of them are apostles, because there are no more. There were only 12. That's it. So Jesus makes it plain that John the Baptist was the last prophet. And he also includes all of the things that the prophets and that the law spoke of. So it's not just the prophets themselves, but it's also the law in terms of what was written in the law, or what is composed of the law as was written, and what was composed by the prophets in terms of what they wrote, meaning Isaiah, Micah, Amos, Joel, Daniel. Their messages and the visions that they received in order to give these messages and to receive these messages, that process has been done away with. That process has been done away with. There are no more prophets. There are no more visions being given by God. Does that mean he can't do something like this? I suppose he could whenever he wants to. But God laid out a process by which he expects his providence to bring about the glory of his Son, and showing forth what his plan is for the evolution of mankind from the state of sin to glorification. Now, moving on, it says in Matthew 11, verse 14, "And if you will receive it, this is Elias, which was to come," meaning Elijah, John the Baptist, was the Elijah to come. It had been prophesied in Malachi that Elijah would precede the coming of the Messiah, that Elijah would come first, then the Messiah. But Elijah himself as a person did not come, but John the Baptist did. And Jesus said here in verse 14 of Matthew 11, "And if you will receive it, this," meaning John the Baptist, "he is the Elijah who was to come. Why? Because John the Baptist came in the spirit and power of the prophet Elijah.